Hey guys, tonight we're stepping back in time, not to the thunder of muskets or the clamor of revolution, but to a surprisingly tranquil corner of 18th century France. Imagine, if you will, sun-drenched orchards, the gentle hum of thousands of tiny wings, and the sweet, almost dizzying scent of wildflowers carried on a summer breeze. You are there, surrounded by the quiet industry of nature, a world away from the grand salons and the looming guillotines. You're about to discover a world where the biggest drama might be a swarm on the move, a world so calm, you probably won't survive the sheer lack of chaos. It's a place where even a king might dabble in the delicate art of apiculture, a stark contrast to the dramatic pronouncements and political intrigue we often associate with this era. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And as you settle in, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. It's always fascinating to see how far these stories travel. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself standing in a small, meticulously kept garden, the air thick with the scent of lavender and thyme. The year is 1765, and the location, a quiet village nestled in the French countryside, far from the bustling streets of Paris. The sun is warm on your skin, and the gentle drone you hear isn't a distant cart, but the symphony of bees. Everywhere you look, there are hives. Not the neatly stacked wooden boxes you might recognize today, but an astonishing array of shapes and sizes. Some are woven from straw, resembling oversized skeps, their rounded tops pointing skyward like tiny, straw-thatched cottages. Others are hollowed-out logs, simple and rustic, repurposed from ancient trees. Then there are the more elaborate ones, made from terracotta, shaped into elegant bell jars, or even more remarkably, small, decorative wooden cabinets, almost like miniature armoires for the royal bee family. You lean closer to one of the straw skeps, its surface warm to the touch. A steady stream of bees, their legs laden with pollen, enters and exits a small opening at the base. You notice the intricate dance they perform, a seemingly chaotic ballet that is, in fact, remarkably precise. Each bee knows its role, its destination, its purpose. It's a level of organization that frankly puts most human endeavors to shame. Imagine trying to get a group of 18th century French aristocrats to cooperate with such efficiency. You chuckle softly to yourself. It probably wouldn't end well. The beekeeper, a kindly man with weathered hands and eyes that crinkle at the corners when he smiles, approaches you. He wears a simple linen smock, dusted with flour from the day's baking, and a wide-brimmed straw hat that offers little protection from the insistent buzzing that surrounds him. He doesn't wear a veil or gloves, a testament to his long-standing familiarity with his charges. He gestures to a particularly ornate hive, a wooden box with a small glass pane on one side. Through the glass, you can see the busy activity within. Bees crawl over honeycomb, their tiny bodies shimmering in the filtered light. It's a rare glimpse into their hidden world, a privilege usually reserved for the beekeeper himself. He explains in a soft, melodic French that this particular hive is an experimental one, designed to allow for easier observation without disturbing the colony. This innovative approach was still somewhat novel, as many traditional beekeepers preferred minimal interference with their bees, believing that excessive disturbance could lead to a less productive colony. You reach out a finger, almost touching the glass, mesmerized by the intricate patterns of the comb. It's a feat of natural engineering, perfectly hexagonal cells built for efficiency and strength. Historians still argue whether the geometric perfection of the honeycomb was an instinctive genetic trait or a learned behavior passed down through generations of bees. Was it a mathematical genius encoded in their DNA, or did they simply discover the most efficient shape through trial and error over millennia? It's a delightful mystery, isn't it? One that perhaps only the bees themselves truly understand. The beekeeper offers you a small piece of honeycomb, dripping with golden honey. The taste is divine, a complex blend of floral notes and sweet earthiness, unlike anything you've ever experienced. You realize this isn't just about the honey, it's about the entire ecosystem, the delicate balance between the bees, the flowers, and the diligent care of the beekeeper. The French, even in the 18th century, were renowned for their appreciation of fine food, and honey was no exception. It was a staple in many households, used not only as a sweetener, but also in medicinal preparations and even in the brewing of mead, a popular alcoholic beverage. You wonder if the beekeeper's bees were contributing to some particularly potent concoction. Perhaps a honey-infused brandy that would really put hair on your chest, or more likely, simply a delightful addition to morning pastries. You notice a small, rather portly bee struggling to lift off from a nearby flower, its tiny legs tangled in pollen. You almost reach out to help, but then it gives a mighty heave and with a final wiggle takes flight. You can't help but grin. Even in the insect world, there are those who need a little extra effort. You think of some of your own less than graceful attempts at, say, getting out of bed on a Monday morning. You can definitely relate. This particular bee seems to be embodying the universal struggle of, is it Friday yet? The beekeeper points to a patch of vibrant purple flowers, explaining that these are particularly favored by the bees for their nectar. He speaks of the different types of honey, each with its own unique flavor profile, depending on the predominant flowers in the area. Lavender honey, chestnut honey, acacia honey, each a reflection of the local flora. It's a surprisingly sophisticated understanding of terroir for the time, extending beyond wine to the very essence of their sweet bounty. You realize that beekeeping in this era was not just a utilitarian pursuit. It was an art, a science, and a deep connection to the natural world. It was a calm pursuit in a world often on the brink of dramatic upheaval. The quiet hum of the apiary offered a stark contrast to the distant rumblings of a society slowly, but surely heading towards revolution. But here, in this peaceful garden, the only revolution was the tireless cycle of the bees, turning nectar into liquid gold, a testament to the enduring power of nature's quiet industry. The sun begins to dip towards the horizon, casting long, golden shadows across the garden. The air cools slightly, and the bees, though still active, seem to be winding down their frantic daytime schedule. You watch as a few stragglers, their pollen baskets overflowing, make their final journeys back to the hive. There's a noticeable shift in the hum, a deeper, more contented thrumming that speaks of a day's work well done. It's almost as if they're sighing in unison, a collective exhale after a long, productive shift. You can practically hear them saying, "Finally, time to put our little bee feet up." The beekeeper, sensing your fascination, invites you to sit on a rough-hewn wooden bench beneath a sprawling apple tree. Its branches are laden with small, green fruit, still a ways from ripening. He pulls out a small, intricately carved wooden box and carefully opens it. Inside, nestled on a bed of dried leaves, are several tools. There's a tiny, curved knife, used for cutting honeycomb, and a small brush with soft bristles, used to gently sweep bees from the frames. He also has a smoker, a metal cylinder with a bellows attached, which he explains is used to calm the bees before inspecting their hives. The smoke, he clarifies, doesn't harm them. It simply mimics a forest fire, prompting them to gorge themselves on honey in preparation for evacuating, making them less inclined to sting. It's a fascinating insight into their natural instincts, a clever manipulation of their evolutionary programming. He recounts tales of his family's long history of beekeeping, stretching back generations. His grandfather, he explains, was particularly skilled at finding wild bee colonies in the hollows of ancient trees, a dangerous but rewarding endeavor. He describes how they would carefully extract the comb, leaving enough for the wild colony to survive, a testament to their respect for nature's bounty. This practice of bee lining, tracking wild bees to their nests, was a common skill among rural communities, often passed down from father to son. It was a way of supplementing their honey supply and sometimes even capturing new swarms for their domestic apiaries. You ask him about the challenges of beekeeping in his time. He sighs softly, a gentle shake of his head. Diseases, he explains, are always a concern, though less understood than today. They relied on traditional remedies, often based on observations of what seemed to help healthy colonies thrive. And then there are the swarms. He gestures to a large, empty skep placed on a stand a little distance from the main apiary. He explains that when a hive becomes too crowded, a portion of the bees will leave with the old queen to find a new home, a natural process known as swarming. Catching a swarm, he says, is both an art and a test of patience. You have to be quick, but also calm, otherwise you risk scattering the entire mass of bees. It sounds like a rather intense game of hide and seek, but with thousands of tiny, potentially stingy participants. He tells a story of one particularly stubborn swarm that settled high in the branches of an old oak tree just out of reach. He spent hours trying to coax them down, gently tapping a branch with a stick, hoping they would fall into his waiting skep. He laughs, remembering the sight of himself, precariously balanced on a ladder, looking more like a clumsy bird trying to retrieve its nest than a seasoned beekeeper. Eventually, he says, a sudden gust of wind dislodged them, sending them tumbling into his outstretched hands. He recounts it with a twinkle in his eye, a blend of relief and amusement. Sometimes, he muses, the bees are more cooperative when fate lends a hand. You ask about the social structure of the hive, fascinated by the idea of a queen and her countless subjects. He explains the different roles: the queen laying eggs, the drones whose sole purpose is to mate with the queen, and the countless worker bees performing all the other tasks, from foraging to nursing the young to building and repairing the comb. It's a complex, highly specialized society, far more intricate than many human communities of the time. Historians still debate the exact level of intelligence or collective consciousness within a bee colony. Is it simply a series of instinctual responses, or is there a higher form of group decision-making at play? The sheer coordination of their activities, from elaborate dances communicating food sources to the collective defense of the hive, certainly suggests something beyond simple rote behavior. He speaks of the importance of the queen, the heart of the colony. Without a strong queen, he explains, the hive will falter and eventually die. He describes the delicate process of queen rearing, where worker bees will select a larva and feed it a special diet of royal jelly, transforming it into a queen. It's a subtle form of selective breeding, ensuring the continuation of strong, productive colonies. He mentions that some beekeepers even developed methods for artificially rearing queens, though this was a more advanced technique, requiring a deep understanding of bee biology. It's like they had their own tiny, buzzing monarchy, with a very strict line of succession. The beekeeper shares a curious tidbit. In some parts of France, it was considered bad luck to buy honey from a beekeeper. Instead, it was believed that you should trade for it, or be given it as a gift, to ensure the continued prosperity of the bees and the beekeeper. This superstition highlights the deep respect and almost mystical reverence with which bees were regarded in many rural communities. They were seen not just as producers of a valuable commodity, but as almost sacred creatures, connected to the health and well-being of the land itself. You imagine hushed transactions, not with coins, but with exchanged goods, a fresh loaf of bread for a pot of honey, a basket of eggs for a piece of comb. A rather charming alternative to hard currency, wouldn't you say? As the last rays of sun disappear behind the distant hills, a profound sense of calm settles over the apiary. The air is still, save for the gentle hum of the bees, now a lullaby. You feel a surprising connection to this ancient practice, a quiet appreciation for the rhythm of nature and the timeless work of these tiny creatures. The world of 18th century French beekeeping, far from the grand narratives of kings and revolutions, holds a quiet, enduring beauty. It's a reminder that even in tumultuous times, there are pockets of peace, sustained by simple, honest labor and a profound respect for the natural world. You realize that a good beekeeper, much like a good storyteller, understands the importance of patience and the delicate art of observation. The evening air grows cooler, and a faint mist begins to rise from the damp earth, softening the edges of the landscape. The hum of the bees has receded almost entirely now, replaced by the chirping of crickets and the distant hoot of an owl. You can practically feel the garden settling down for the night, a collective sigh of contentment. The beekeeper, sensing your quiet contemplation, smiles. He gathers his tools, carefully placing them back into their carved box. He explains that this evening quiet is crucial for the bees. It's their time to rest, to process the day's intake, and to prepare for the labors of tomorrow. Interrupting them now, he muses, would be like waking a Frenchman from his afternoon nap, a truly perilous endeavor. He speaks of the importance of location for an apiary. A good spot, he explains, is sheltered from strong winds, enjoys plenty of sunlight, especially in the morning, and is within easy reach of a diverse array of flowering plants. He gestures to the surrounding fields, now fading into shades of gray and purple, explaining that they cultivate specific plants to ensure a steady supply of nectar and pollen throughout the seasons. This deliberate planting for bees, often referred to as bee pasturage, was a conscious effort, highlighting the understanding that the health of the bees was directly linked to the availability of forage. It wasn't simply about letting them wander. It was about providing a rich and varied buffet. You learn that different regions of France specialized in different types of honey, depending on their unique flora. The lavender fields of Provence yielded a distinctive, fragrant honey, while the forests of the lands produced a darker, more robust chestnut honey. This regional specialization was not unlike the wine regions of France, where the soil, climate, and grape varieties all contributed to the unique character of the finished product. Honey, too, had its own distinct terroir, a reflection of the landscape from which it came. You imagine a map of France, not with vineyards marked, but with tiny buzzing bees indicating the specific honey flavors found in each region. It's a delicious thought. The beekeeper tells you about the traditional methods of harvesting honey. Unlike today's centrifugal extractors, which spin the honey out of the comb, 18th century beekeepers often had to crush the comb to extract the liquid gold. This process, while effective, meant sacrificing the beautifully constructed wax cells, forcing the bees to rebuild them each time. He explains that some innovative beekeepers were experimenting with removable frames, allowing them to extract the honey without destroying the comb, a significant advancement that would revolutionize beekeeping in the future. This technological leap, though slow to adopt, promised greater efficiency and less disruption to the bee colonies. Historians still debate the exact timeline of when these removable frames became widespread. Was it a gradual adoption, or did a few key innovators champion the design, leading to a quicker spread? The lack of standardized records makes it a bit of a historical puzzle. He recounts a humorous incident when a new apprentice, eager but clumsy, accidentally dropped a full skep of honey. The resulting sticky chaos, he says, involved more bees than he had ever seen in one place, all rather unhappy about their ruined pantry. The apprentice, covered head to toe in honey and disgruntled bees, looked, according to the beekeeper, like a particularly sweet yet highly agitated bear. It took hours to clean up the mess and days for the apprentice to lose his sticky sheen. The moral of the story, he adds with a wink, is that patience is not just a virtue for beekeepers, it's a sticky necessity. You ask about the byproducts of beekeeping. The beekeeper explains that beeswax was almost as valuable as the honey itself. It was used to make candles, which burned brighter and longer than tallow candles and were highly prized. It was also used in polishing furniture, waterproofing cloth, and even in some medicinal ointments. Propolis, a sticky resin collected by bees from tree buds, was also valued for its antiseptic properties and used in traditional medicine. The hive, it seems, was a veritable treasure trove, offering far more than just honey. Every part of the bee's output had a use, a testament to the ingenuity of nature and the resourcefulness of those who understood its gifts. He shares a curious custom. In some parts of France, when the beekeeper died, it was customary for his family to tell the bees of his passing. If they didn't, it was believed the bees would leave the hive, or even die themselves. This poignant tradition highlights the deep emotional connection between beekeepers and their bees, treating them not just as livestock but as sentient beings, integral to the family's well-being. You imagine hushed whispers by the hives, a somber telling of news to the buzzing residents. It's a testament to the anthropomorphic tendencies of the human spirit, isn't it? Even the most rational among us tend to project a little bit of ourselves onto the natural world. As the last vestiges of daylight fade, the beekeeper points to a small, enclosed structure near the edge of the apiary. This, he explains, is where they store the harvested honey and beeswax. It's kept cool and dry, away from pests and dampness. The scent of honey, even from this distance, is intoxicating. You imagine rows of earthenware pots filled with amber liquid, and stacks of golden beeswax awaiting their transformation into candles or other useful items. It's a simple setup, but remarkably effective, a testament to centuries of accumulated wisdom and practical experience. You realize that this calm world of beekeeping, so far removed from the dramatic historical narratives, was a vital part of everyday life in 18th century France. It provided sustenance, light, and a connection to the rhythms of nature. It was a world of quiet industry, of patient observation, and of a deep respect for the tiny creatures who produced such a valuable commodity. And as you sit there, enveloped by the tranquility of the setting, you feel a profound sense of peace. The distant memory of bustling cities and political unrest seems to dissipate, replaced by the gentle hum of the unseen bees and the quiet wisdom of the beekeeper. It's a world where the greatest excitement is often the discovery of a new queen or a particularly abundant honey flow. A world that moves at a different, more serene pace. The air is now thick with the scent of damp earth and night-blooming jasmine, a heady perfume that almost lulls you into a deeper state of relaxation. The beekeeper stands, a silent sentinel against the encroaching darkness, and invites you to walk with him back towards his modest cottage. The path is narrow, winding between rows of berry bushes and fragrant herbs. You can almost feel the softness of the dew-kissed grass beneath your feet, even through your shoes. The quiet has deepened, the world outside the immediate vicinity of the apiary feeling distant and hushed. He explains that winter is a challenging time for bees. Unlike many other insects, honeybees do not hibernate. Instead, they cluster together inside the hive, shivering to generate heat and consuming their stored honey to survive the cold months. He describes how he carefully prepares the hives for winter, ensuring they have enough food stores and are well insulated. He might wrap some of the more vulnerable hives in straw mats or burlap sacks to provide extra warmth. This meticulous care during the colder months was crucial for the survival of the colony and ensured a strong start to the next honey-producing season. It's a delicate balance, making sure they have enough sustenance without overfeeding them. You imagine the bees huddled together, a tiny, self-regulating furnace, bravely facing the chill. It's a rather cozy image, even if it is a bit of a struggle for them. He shares a surprising historical fact. In 18th century France, beekeeping was often seen as a respectable and even scholarly pursuit. Many prominent figures, including gentlemen farmers and even some members of the clergy, maintained apiaries not just for profit, but out of genuine scientific curiosity. They kept detailed records of their observations, experimenting with different hive designs and management techniques. This intellectual engagement elevated beekeeping beyond a simple rural chore to a subject worthy of serious study and discussion in learned societies. It wasn't just about putting food on the table. It was about understanding the natural world. You ask if there were any notable figures known for their beekeeping. He nods, mentioning the work of Francois Huber, a Swiss naturalist who, despite being blind, made groundbreaking observations about bee behavior in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Huber, with the help of his assistant, developed ingenious observation hives that allowed him to study the bees' inner workings without disturbing them. His work provided invaluable insights into bee communication, queen rearing, and swarm behavior, truly revolutionizing the understanding of these complex insects. It's a testament to human ingenuity and the power of collaboration, proving that even with significant challenges, profound discoveries are possible. You can practically hear the buzzing of innovation, even if it's just the sound of a very determined blind man and his very patient assistant. He recounts a funny anecdote about a local priest who, despite his best intentions, was notoriously clumsy with his bees. The priest, a man of great piety but questionable practical skills, once attempted to move a hive without first calming the bees with smoke. The result, the beekeeper chuckles, was a scene of holy terror, with the priest flapping his cassock like a frantic bird and the bees, understandably agitated, in hot pursuit. The entire village, he says, still tells the story of how Father Dubois' sermon that Sunday was delivered with an unusually high-pitched voice and an alarming number of fresh bee stings on his hands. It served as a rather painful but memorable lesson in the importance of proper technique. You learn that the legal framework surrounding bees in 18th century France was surprisingly detailed. There were laws governing property rights over swarms, outlining who owned a swarm that left one's property and settled on another's. Disputes over honey theft were also not uncommon, leading to legal wrangling over stolen sweetness. These regulations highlight the economic importance of beekeeping and the value placed on honey as a commodity. It wasn't just a casual hobby. It was a serious agricultural pursuit with clear legal implications. Historians still debate the extent to which these laws were actually enforced in rural areas. Were they strict guidelines or more like suggestions, depending on local customs and the temperament of the local magistrate? It's a murky legal hive, so to speak. The Beekeeper shares a curious tidbit about how bees were sometimes used as a form of natural alarm system. Some families would place hives near their windows or doors, KN, owing that any disturbance would agitate the bees, whose angry buzzing would alert the household to intruders. It was a low-tech but surprisingly effective security measure, certainly more intimidating than a barking dog, especially if you were allergic to bee stings. Imagine a burglar silently creeping through the night, only to be met by a furious cloud of angry bees. Not exactly a smooth getaway. As you approach the cottage, the warm glow of candlelight spills from its windows, promising a cozy respite from the cool night air. The Beekeeper points to a small, intricate carving of a bee above the doorway, a symbol of prosperity and good fortune. He explains that bees were often considered symbols of industry, order, and even divine wisdom in French folklore. They were seen as models of a perfect society, lessons in diligence and cooperation that humans could learn from. It's a charming thought, isn't it? That these tiny creatures, so often overlooked, held such a profound place in the human imagination. You realize that your journey into the world of 18th century French beekeeping has revealed a layer of history often left unexamined. It's a world of quiet dedication, scientific curiosity, and a deep respect for the natural world. It's a reminder that even in an age of dramatic change and political upheaval, there were pockets of stability, sustained by the tireless work of bees and the patient wisdom of their human caretakers. The surprisingly calm world of beekeeping, far from the grand narratives, offers a unique lens through which to view the everyday lives and values of people in a bygone era. And as you step into the warm embrace of the cottage, you carry with you the gentle hum of the apiary, a soothing memory of a truly sweet and serene journey. Inside the cottage, the air is warm and fragrant with the lingering scent of wood smoke and freshly baked bread. The Beekeeper's wife, a woman with kind eyes and a welcoming smile, gestures towards a simple wooden table set with 2 steaming mugs. You gratefully accept one, the warmth seeping into your hands. It's herbal tea, sweetened generously with, you guessed it, honey. The taste is a comforting blend of chamomile and wild mint, underscored by the rich sweetness of the golden liquid, a perfect antidote to the crisp evening air. The Beekeeper begins to talk about the different varieties of bees cultivated in France during this period. While the common European dark bee, Apis mellifera mellifera, was prevalent, there were also regional variations and local strains that had adapted to specific climates and flora. Beekeepers often favored certain strains for their temperament, honey production, or resistance to disease. This informal selective breeding, passed down through generations, contributed to the diversity of bee populations across the country. It was a natural form of genetic engineering, long before anyone even conceived of the term. He mentions that some larger estates and monasteries maintained extensive apiaries, not just for their own consumption, but also for sale. Monasteries, in particular, had a long tradition of beekeeping, using honey for their culinary needs, mead production, and beeswax for candles in their churches. Their organized and often scholarly approach to beekeeping meant they were often at the forefront of innovation in hive design and management. They had the resources and the patience to dedicate themselves to this slow, deliberate craft. You can imagine monks in their quiet cloisters, poring over ancient texts on apiculture, perhaps even debating the merits of different hive ventilation systems. You learn that bee diseases were a constant threat, even if their causes were poorly understood. Foul brood, a devastating bacterial disease that affects bee larvae, was particularly feared. Without modern diagnostic tools or treatments, beekeepers relied on drastic measures like burning infected hives to prevent the spread of the disease to healthy colonies. It was a heartbreaking but necessary step, a stark reminder of the fragile balance within the apiary. Historians still debate the impact of these undocumented outbreaks on regional honey production and the overall health of bee populations. Were these localized incidents, or did they sometimes sweep through entire regions, causing significant economic hardship? It's a dark cloud in an otherwise sunny picture. The beekeeper shares a rather amusing anecdote about a novice beekeeper who, upon discovering a swarm, attempted to capture it by simply holding out an empty bucket. The swarm, of course, paid him no mind, instead choosing to settle on his unsuspecting head. He describes the poor fellow running through the village, looking like a living, buzzing wig, while the villagers looked on in a mixture of alarm and suppressed laughter. It took several brave souls and a thick blanket to finally dislodge the furry headpiece. The moral of that story, he explains, is that while enthusiasm is admirable, proper technique is often less painful. He speaks of the importance of the bee forage, the flowers and plants that provide nectar and pollen. He explains that a diverse array of forage throughout the seasons is key to a healthy and productive hive. They would often plant specific crops, like buckwheat or clover, not just for their own use, but specifically to provide sustenance for their bees. This thoughtful approach to land management highlights an early understanding of ecological balance and the interdependence of different species. It's an ancient version of habitat restoration, long before anyone used such grand terms. You ask about the relationship between beekeepers and farmers. He explains that it was largely symbiotic. Bees pollinated the farmers' crops, leading to better yields of fruits, vegetables, and seeds. In return, the bees had access to a wider variety of forage. This mutual benefit fostered a cooperative spirit, though occasionally disputes arose over shared resources or stray swarms. It was a quiet handshake agreement between man and nature, benefiting both parties. You imagine a farmer exchanging a basket of his finest apples for a pot of the beekeeper's purest honey, a quiet transaction built on trust and mutual respect. He recounts a quirky tidbit. In some rural areas, a bee sting was considered a good omen, particularly for those suffering from rheumatism or arthritis. The idea was that the bee venom in small doses had medicinal properties. While modern medicine has explored the potential of apitherapy, it's a charming example of folk medicine and a slightly painful way to seek relief. You wonder if those seeking a cure simply stood amongst the hives, hoping for a beneficial, if uncomfortable, encounter. Perhaps they even had a favorite bee, a tiny winged pharmacist, ready to deliver a therapeutic sting. As the beekeeper and his wife converse softly in the flickering candlelight, you feel a deep sense of contentment. The quiet rhythm of their lives, so intertwined with the natural world, is a soothing balm. You realize that the calm world of 18th century French beekeeping was not simply a historical curiosity. It was a microcosm of a sustainable way of life, built on observation, patience, and a profound respect for the delicate balance of nature. It was a world where progress was measured not by grand revolutions, but by the steady hum of a healthy hive, a testament to the enduring power of quiet industry. It's a reminder that sometimes the greatest wisdom comes not from grand pronouncements, but from observing the smallest of creatures, those that tirelessly work, day in and day out, to create something sweet and essential. The honey-sweetened tea has left a comforting warmth in your stomach, and the gentle drone of the cottage conversation is a soft lullaby. You find yourself leaning back in your chair, a sense of deep relaxation settling over you. The beekeeper, observing your comfort, continues his quiet discourse on the subtle nuances of his craft. He speaks now of the importance of the apiary's location in relation to water sources. Bees, like all living creatures, need water, especially for diluting honey for larvae and for cooling the hive on hot days. A nearby stream or a simple water trough, regularly replenished, was essential for a thriving colony. He explains that a good beekeeper always considers the complete needs of his bees, not just their honey production. It's a testament to the holistic approach to agriculture, where every element of the natural world is considered interconnected. He talks about the subtle art of reading the bees. A good beekeeper, he explains, can tell the mood of a hive simply by the sound of its hum. A contented, steady buzz indicates a healthy, productive colony. An agitated, high-pitched whine might signal distress, perhaps a lack of a queen or an impending swarm. He recounts how, as a young boy, he learned to distinguish these subtle variations, guided by his grandfather's experienced ear. It's a skill that transcends mere observation. It's an intuitive understanding, almost a form of communication with the insects. You imagine him standing by a hive, head cocked, listening intently to the secret language of the bees, a language only he can truly understand. You learn that swarming, while a natural process of colony reproduction, was also a source of anxiety for beekeepers. A swarm leaving meant a significant loss of bees and potentially a reduction in honey production. He describes the traditional methods of preventing swarms, such as dividing crowded hives or providing ample space for expansion. Sometimes, he admits, they would even try to trick the bees by providing them with a new, empty hive nearby, hoping they would settle there instead of absconding into the wild. It's a fascinating game of wits between man and insect, with the beekeeper trying to outmaneuver the bee's powerful instincts. He recounts a comical incident involving a particularly boisterous swarm that decided to settle on the head of the village baker. The baker, who was on his way to deliver a fresh batch of baguettes, found himself suddenly adorned with a living, buzzing hat. The baguettes, he explains with a laugh, ended up scattered across the dusty road, and the baker, after a momentary panic, decided the only sensible thing to do was to make a hasty retreat, leaving the swarm to the bewildered villagers. The beekeeper eventually managed to collect them, but not before the baker swore off wearing hats for a good month. Some lessons, he muses, are best learned with a little bit of unexpected headwear. You ask about the relationship between beekeeping and other forms of agriculture. He explains that bees were vital for pollinating fruit trees, vegetable gardens, and seed crops. Farmers understood the value of having bees nearby, as it led to more abundant harvests. This symbiotic relationship fostered a cooperative spirit between beekeepers and farmers, often leading to shared resources and mutual assistance. It was a subtle, yet crucial, partnership that underpinned much of the rural economy. Historians still debate the extent to which farmers consciously understood the role of bees in pollination versus simply observing that crops yielded more when bees were present. Was it scientific understanding or simply empirical observation? The answer probably lies somewhere in between. He shares a peculiar tidbit. In some regions, it was believed that if you spoke ill of your bees, they would become unhappy and leave the hive. Beekeepers would often address their bees with terms of endearment, speaking to them gently and respectfully, almost as if they were members of the family. This superstition highlights the deep emotional connection and anthropomorphism that often characterized the relationship between humans and their animals in this era. You can almost hear a beekeeper whispering sweet nothings to his bees, imploring them to be productive and happy. It's a charming thought, and perhaps a good reminder for us all to speak kindly to those who work hard for us, even if they have 6 legs and wings. As the fire in the hearth crackles softly, casting dancing shadows on the cottage walls, the beekeeper speaks of the future of beekeeping. He expresses hope that new methods and tools will continue to improve the craft, making it easier for future generations to care for these essential creatures. He mentions the nascent ideas of creating hives that are even more accessible for inspection, allowing beekeepers to monitor the health of their colonies with less disruption. It's a subtle anticipation of the advancements that would eventually lead to modern beekeeping practices, a quiet glimpse into the future through the eyes of the past. You realize that even in the seemingly unchanging world of 18th century rural France, there was a quiet, steady current of innovation and adaptation. The beekeeper, a guardian of ancient traditions, was also open to new ideas, always seeking ways to improve his craft and ensure the well-being of his bees. This blend of tradition and gentle progress is a hallmark of the surprisingly calm world you've been invited into tonight. It's a world where the greatest dramas play out in the intricate dance of a bee's life, and the most profound wisdom is found in the quiet hum of a healthy hive. And as you feel the warmth of the fire on your face and the lingering sweetness of the honey on your tongue, you drift further into the peaceful rhythm of this bygone era. The gentle flickering of the hearth fire casts long, dancing shadows on the rough-hewn walls of the cottage. The sounds of the night outside are muted, a soft symphony of nature that further deepens the sense of peace. The beekeeper, now leaning back comfortably in his chair, continues to share his insights into the world of bees, his voice a soothing murmur. He speaks of the bees' remarkable ability to communicate, particularly through their elaborate waggle dance. He describes how a returning forager bee performs a specific dance within the hive, relaying information about the direction and distance to a rich source of nectar or pollen. It's a sophisticated form of nonverbal communication, far more advanced than anything most humans of the era possessed. You imagine tiny, choreographed performances, a bee ballet conveying vital GPS coordinates. It's astonishing, really, that such complex information could be conveyed with just a few wiggles and turns. He talks about the challenges posed by various predators and pests. Mice, he explains, could sometimes invade hives in winter, seeking warmth and a convenient food source. Wasps were also a nuisance, preying on individual bees or attempting to raid the honey stores. He describes the simple traps and preventative measures they would employ, like reducing the size of the hive entrance to deter larger pests or setting out sweet lures to distract wasps. It was a constant battle against the forces of nature, a never-ending effort to protect their valuable colonies. He laughs, recounting how he once found a particularly plump mouse nestled inside a hive, looking rather pleased with himself, as if he'd just won the lottery. The mouse, he clarifies, was gently evicted, not punished. You learn that the economic value of honey and beeswax was considerable in 18th century France. Honey was a primary sweetener before the widespread availability of sugar from colonial plantations. It was used in cooking, baking, brewing mead, and for medicinal purposes. Beeswax, as you now know, was crucial for candles, but also used in sealing documents, polishing furniture, and even in crafting various household items. This made beekeeping a significant economic activity, contributing to the livelihoods of countless rural families. It was a quiet industry that nonetheless played a vital role in the domestic economy. Historians still debate the exact contribution of honey to the overall French economy compared to other agricultural products. Was it a niche luxury or a widely consumed staple? The answer likely varied significantly by region and social class. He recounts a particularly dry summer when the flowers withered and the bees struggled to find enough forage. He describes how the community came together, pooling their resources to provide sugar syrup to feed the struggling colonies, a collective effort to ensure the survival of their vital pollinators. It highlights the communal spirit of rural life and the shared understanding of the importance of bees to their collective well-being. It's a lovely image, isn't it? Neighbors helping neighbors, all for the sake of the tiny, buzzing creatures that provided so much. It's a reminder that sometimes the sweetest things in life are born out of collaboration, even between species. You ask about the tools of the trade. Beyond the smoker and the basic hive tools, he mentions the importance of a good bee suit. Although not as elaborate as modern suits, beekeepers would often wear thick linen garments, sometimes with a wide-brimmed hat and a simple net veil to protect their faces from stings. He chuckles, explaining that even with the best precautions, a stray bee always seemed to find a way to deliver a protest sting, usually in the most inconvenient spot. It's how they remind you, he says with a wink, who's truly in charge. He shares a curious custom. In some parts of France, it was believed that if a bee landed on you, it was a sign of good luck or a visit from a departed spirit. This gentle superstition further underscores the reverence with which bees were often regarded, seeing them as messengers or symbols of connection to the unseen world. You wonder if this belief encouraged people to be less fearful of stings, or if they simply endured the discomfort for the promise of good fortune. It's a charming thought, isn't it, that every time a bee buzzes past, it might be carrying a message just for you. As the night deepens, the beekeeper begins to speak in a softer tone, almost a whisper, about the delicate balance of nature. He emphasizes that beekeeping is not about dominating the bees, but about working in harmony with them. It's about understanding their needs, respecting their instincts, and providing an environment where they can thrive. He believes that a healthy apiary is a reflection of a healthy environment, a testament to the interconnectedness of all living things. It's a profound thought, particularly for a time when scientific understanding was still evolving. You realize that this surprising calm in the world of 18th century French beekeeping wasn't just a coincidence. It was a result of centuries of accumulated wisdom, passed down from generation to generation. It was a lifestyle built on patience, observation, and a profound respect for the natural world. It's a world where the quiet hum of a beehive represented prosperity, peace, and the enduring power of nature's quiet industry. And as you sit there, enveloped by the tranquil atmosphere, you feel a deep appreciation for this often overlooked corner of history, a corner filled with the sweet scent of honey and the gentle buzz of a world in quiet harmony. The warmth of the fire now feels like a comforting blanket, and the beekeeper's voice has taken on an almost hypnotic quality. He begins to describe the different seasons of beekeeping, a cycle intricately linked to the rhythms of nature. Spring, he explains, is a time of awakening and rapid growth. The queen increases her egg-laying, and the colony expands quickly as new flowers emerge, providing a bounty of fresh nectar and pollen. This is a time of intense activity for the beekeeper, who must ensure the hives have enough space to grow and prevent swarming. You imagine the hives practically bursting with new life, a vibrant explosion of acti. Vidi after the quiet dormancy of winter. It's a time of optimism, a renewal of nature's promise. Summer is the peak of the honey flow. This is when the bees are most active, foraging tirelessly from dawn till dusk, bringing in vast quantities of nectar to transform into honey. The beekeeper recounts the long, hot days spent monitoring the hives, checking for signs of disease, and preparing for the first honey harvest. It's a period of intense labor, but also immense satisfaction, as the fruits of their year-round efforts begin to materialize. You can almost feel the sticky warmth of the honey, fresh from the comb, a taste of pure sunshine. Autumn brings a slowing down. The flowers begin to fade, and the honey flow diminishes. The bees start to prepare for winter, reducing their foraging activities and focusing on storing enough honey to last them through the cold months. The beekeeper's role shifts to ensuring the bees have adequate food reserves and are properly insulated for the coming chill. This is also the time for the final honey harvest, a moment of quiet reflection on the year's bounty. It's a season of preparation, a gentle winding down, much like the slowing pace of your own thoughts as you listen. Winter, as you've heard, is a time of quiet survival. The bees cluster together, relying on their stored honey and their collective body heat to stay warm. The beekeeper's job then is one of vigilance, ensuring the hives remain undisturbed and protected from the harsh elements. He might occasionally check the weight of the hives to gauge their honey reserves, but mostly it's a period of watchful waiting, a quiet anticipation of the next spring. It's a testament to resilience, both of the bees and the beekeeper. Historians still debate the exact methods used for hive insulation across different regions of France. Were there standardized techniques, or did practices vary widely based on local materials and climate? It's a bundled-up mystery. He recounts a charming story about a particularly adventurous queen bee who, during a routine hive inspection, decided to take an unscheduled flight. The beekeeper describes the frantic scramble to locate her, knowing that without a queen, the hive would quickly perish. After much searching, she was found perched delicately on the nose of his youngest son, who, despite the tickling sensation, remained remarkably still. The beekeeper laughs, remembering the relieved sigh he let out and the proud look on his son's face. He earned his honey that day, he says with a smile. You learn that beekeeping was often a family affair, with knowledge and skills passed down from generation to generation. Children would learn from their parents and grandparents, spending countless hours in the apiary, observing the bees and assisting with various tasks. This intergenerational transfer of knowledge ensured the continuity of traditional beekeeping practices and fostered a deep connection to the land and its creatures. It wasn't just a trade, it was a family legacy, a shared bond over the hum of the hives. He shares a quirky tidbit. In some regions, it was believed that if a new bride tasted honey from her family's bees on her wedding day, it would ensure a sweet and prosperous marriage. This charming superstition highlights the symbolic significance of honey, not just as a food source, but as a representation of happiness, fertility, and good fortune. You can almost imagine a blushing bride, carefully dipping her finger into a pot of golden honey, hoping for a lifetime of sweetness. It's a rather delightful tradition, certainly more enjoyable than throwing rice. As the quiet conversation continues, you notice the subtle sounds of the cottage settling for the night. The gentle creak of old timbers, the soft rustle of the wind outside, all contribute to the growing sense of tranquility. The beekeeper, a guardian of these ancient rhythms, embodies the quiet wisdom of a life lived in harmony with nature. He speaks of the profound satisfaction that comes from working with bees, from witnessing their tireless industry and contributing to their well-being. It's a connection that transcends the purely economic. It's a spiritual bond, a quiet reverence for the miraculous world of the hive. You realize that this journey into the calm world of 18th century French beekeeping has been far more than a historical account. It's been an immersion into a slower, more deliberate way of life, a reminder of the quiet joys and profound wisdom that can be found in simple, honest labor. It's a world where the greatest lessons are learned not from books, but from observing the intricate dance of a bee, a world that teaches patience, resilience, and the enduring sweetness of a life lived in harmony with the natural world. And as your eyes begin to feel heavy and your thoughts drift, you feel the gentle hum of the apiary resonating within you, a soothing presence that guides you towards peaceful slum. Burn! The embers in the hearth glow faintly, casting a warm, orange light that dances across the room. The scent of beeswax, subtle yet persistent, fills the air, adding another layer to the comforting atmosphere. The beekeeper, his voice now barely above a whisper, continues his gentle narrative, guiding you deeper into the quiet world of his craft. He speaks of the medicinal uses of honey and other bee products in 18th century France. Honey was widely used for treating coughs, sore throats, and wounds due to its natural antiseptic and soothing properties. Propolis, the sticky resin collected by bees, was valued for its antimicrobial qualities and used in poultices and tinctures. Even bee venom, in controlled applications, was believed to have therapeutic benefits for conditions like rheumatism. This highlights a time when medicine was often rooted in natural remedies and traditional knowledge, long before pharmaceutical companies dominated the landscape. You can imagine a village elder carefully concocting a honey-based remedy for a child's cough, a soothing tradition passed down through generations. He talks about the challenges of protecting hives from theft. Honey, being a valuable commodity, was sometimes targeted by opportunistic thieves. Beekeepers would employ various methods to deter pilferers, from simple fences and locked storage sheds to more ingenious, albeit rudimentary, alarm systems. He recounts how one particularly resourceful beekeeper in a neighboring village tied a string from his hive to a bell inside his bedroom, ensuring that any disturbance would awaken him. He chuckles, imagining the thief's surprise when a sudden clang shattered the night, accompanied by the furious buzz of thousands of angry bees. It certainly wasn't a quiet getaway, he muses. You learn about the role of beekeeping in the broader agricultural landscape. Beyond pollination, bees were seen as an indicator of environmental health. A thriving bee population was a sign of healthy pastures, abundant flowers, and clean air. Conversely, a decline in bee numbers could signal problems in the local ecosystem, though the exact causes were often unknown at the time. This intuitive understanding of ecological interconnectedness was surprisingly prescient, long before modern environmental science. Historians still debate the extent to which this canary in the coal mine effect of bees was formally recognized or simply an observed correlation. Was it a scientific concept or a folk wisdom? Perhaps a bit of both, a blend of observation and intuition. He shares a humorous incident from his youth, when he, as a mischievous young boy, once dared his friend to stick his tongue into a honeycomb. The friend, after much hesitation, bravely complied, only to discover a rather unhappy bee still clinging to the comb. The resulting yelp and the quick retraction of a swollen tongue, he explains with a laugh, taught them both a valuable lesson about respecting the bee's personal space. It was, he says, a truly unforgettable taste test. You ask about the relationship between beekeeping and the changing political climate of 18th century France. He explains that while the grand political dramas unfolded in Paris, life in the rural countryside, including beekeeping, continued largely unaffected by the day-to-day upheavals. The rhythm of the seasons, the needs of the bees, and the demands of the harvest dictated their lives more than the decrees of distant monarchs. Of course, larger events like wars or economic downturns could eventually impact trade and demand for honey, but the immediate concerns of the apiary remained constant. It's a poignant reminder that while history often focuses on the grand narratives, the daily lives of ordinary people often followed a different, more enduring rhythm. He shares a peculiar tidbit. In some areas, beekeepers would decorate their hives with colorful patterns or carvings, not just for aesthetic appeal, but also to help the bees orient themselves. It was believed that distinct patterns made it easier for individual bees to find their own hive amongst a row of similar-looking ones, reducing confusion and preventing drifting. This early understanding of bee navigation, while perhaps not scientifically proven at the time, shows an intuitive grasp of their visual capabilities. You imagine a patchwork of beautifully adorned hives, each a tiny, unique home for its buzzing inhabitants, a testament to both practicality and artistic flair. As the beekeeper speaks, his hands, weathered and strong, occasionally gesture, as if still tending to his unseen charges. He describes the quiet satisfaction that comes from opening a healthy hive, seeing the bustling activity, the perfectly built comb, and the abundance of honey. It's a deep connection, a sense of partnership with these incredible creatures. He emphasizes that beekeeping is a continuous learning process, a never-ending journey of observation and adaptation. Each hive, he explains, has its own personality, its own quirks, and a good beekeeper learns to understand and respond to the unique needs of each colony. You realize that the calm world of 18th century French beekeeping was not a static one, but a vibrant and evolving craft, deeply intertwined with the natural world and the lives of the people who practiced it. It was a world of quiet dedication, practical innovation, and a profound respect for the intricate dance of nature. And as you feel your eyelids growing heavy, and the gentle drone of the beekeeper's voice fading into the background, you are left with a lasting impression of peace, of sweetness, and of the enduring wisdom that can be found in the smallest, most industrious corners of the world. It's a world that invites you to slow down, to observe, and to appreciate the quiet miracles that unfold all around us, often unseen, but always essential. The quiet hum of the night outside the cottage has settled into a gentle background drone, almost a natural extension of the peace within. The beekeeper, his voice now softer still, begins to speak of the intricate life cycle within the hive, a miniature universe of birth, growth, and tireless work. He describes the queen bee, the heart of the colony, tirelessly laying thousands of eggs a day during peak season. You visualize the tiny, white grubs emerging from the cells, fed and nurtured by the devoted worker bees, transforming through larval and pupal stages into fully formed adult bees. It's a miraculous process, a constant cycle of renewal that ensures the survival and prosperity of the colony. It's a rather efficient baby factory, if you think about it. He explains the roles of the worker bees, all sterile females, who perform a dizzying array of tasks throughout their short lives. Young workers act as nurse bees, caring for the larvae. As they age, they become house bees, building comb, processing nectar into honey, and guarding the hive. Finally, in their later weeks, they become foragers, venturing out into the world to collect nectar and pollen. Each bee, he emphasizes, plays a vital role, a perfect example of a highly specialized and cooperative society. It's a level of dedication that most of us can only dream of. Imagine if we all knew our purpose so clearly and fulfilled it with such unwavering commitment. You learn about the drones, the male bees whose sole purpose is to mate with a new queen. He describes them as larger and more robust than worker bees, but lacking a sting, and rather lazy by comparison, often just lounging around the hive, waiting for their moment of glory. He chuckles, explaining that once the mating season is over, the worker bees will unceremoniously evict the drones from the hive, as they are no longer needed and would only consume valuable winter stores. It's a harsh reality of bee life, a rather brutal form of efficiency, but necessary for the survival of the colony. You can almost hear the drones protesting, but we're just resting our wings. He recounts a funny incident involving a particularly plump drone who, after being evicted from the hive, tried repeatedly to sneak back in, only to be met with the firm, if gentle, resistance of the guard bees. The beekeeper describes the drone's increasingly desperate attempts, like a slightly bewildered gentleman who'd forgotten his house keys and was now trying to sweet-talk his way back in. Eventually, the drone gave up, presumably to face the chill of the outside world. It serves as a reminder that even in a highly organized society, there's always one who tries to bend the rules. You ask about the different types of honey produced in France, beyond just the floral source. He explains that honey can vary greatly in color, texture, and taste depending on the season, the predominant flowers, and even the type of hive used. Spring honey, often light and delicate, contrasts with the darker, more robust flavors of late summer honey. Crystallization, he adds, is a natural process for pure honey and does not indicate spoilage. Some people prefer crystallized honey, while others gently warm it to restore its liquid form. Historians still debate the preference for crystallized versus liquid honey in 18th century France. Was one considered superior, or simply a matter of individual taste? It's a sweet mystery. He shares a curious tidbit. In some regions of France, it was customary to bless the bees before the honey harvest, believing that it would ensure a bountiful yield and protect the bees from harm. This religious or superstitious practice highlights the deep respect an almost sacred regard with which bees were held in many rural communities. It was a way of acknowledging their vital role and seeking divine favor for their continued prosperity. You imagine a quiet ceremony, perhaps a priest offering a blessing over the hives, a ritual that speaks to the profound connection between humanity and the natural world. As the quiet atmosphere of the cottage embraces you fully, the beekeeper begins to speak of the profound lessons that beekeeping has taught him. Patience, he emphasizes, is paramount. You cannot rush the bees. You must work with their natural rhythms. Observation is key. Understanding their behavior requires a keen eye and a quiet mind. And humility, he adds, is essential. For ultimately, you are merely a caretaker, a facilitator in the magnificent work of nature. These are lessons, he muses, that apply not just to beekeeping, but to life itself. You realize that this journey into the unexpectedly calm world of 18th century French beekeeping has offered a unique glimpse into a way of life deeply connected to nature's cycles. It's a world where the greatest wisdom comes not from grand pronouncements or societal upheaval, but from the quiet observation of the smallest, most industrious creatures. It's a world that invites introspection, a gentle reminder of the enduring beauty and interconnectedness of all living things. And as your thoughts grow soft and hazy, you feel the persistent, soothing hum of the hive deep within you, a gentle prelude to a peaceful and honey-sweet sleep. The quiet of the cottage now feels like a warm embrace, the flickering fire casting a gentle, rhythmic glow that encourages your thoughts to drift and soften. The beekeeper, his voice a steady, comforting presence, begins to recount the tools and techniques that, while simple, were utterly indispensable for 18th century apiculture. He speaks of the various types of smokers, from rudimentary smoldering rags held in a tin, canned to more sophisticated models with bellows, designed to produce a cool, steady stream of smoke. The fuel, he explains, often consisted of dried leaves, rotten wood, or even old burlap, chosen for its slow-burning, non-toxic smoke. You imagine the faint, earthy scent of the smoke mingling with the sweet aroma of honey, a signature fragrance of the apiary. He talks about the evolution of hive designs. While straw skeps were common due to their affordability and insulating properties, he mentions the gradual adoption of more structured wooden hives. These sometimes featured rudimentary frames or bars that allowed for easier inspection and honey extraction, though they were still far from the standardized Langstroth hives of the modern era. The experimentation with hive design highlights a continuous effort to improve efficiency and reduce disruption to the bee colonies, a quiet technological progression often overlooked in historical accounts. Historians still debate the specific regional variations in hive construction and how quickly innovations spread across different parts of France. Was there a dominant design or a patchwork of local solutions? It's a carpentry conundrum. You learn that the placement of apiaries was carefully considered. They were often located in sheltered spots, perhaps at the edge of a forest or within a walled garden, protected from strong winds and curious animals. Proximity to a reliable water source and a diverse range of flowering plants was also paramount. The beekeeper explains that a well-chosen location could significantly impact the health and productivity of the hives, showcasing a deep understanding of the ecological needs of the bees. It's like picking the perfect neighborhood for your tiny, buzzing residence. He recounts a rather clumsy attempt by a new assistant to use the smoker for the first time. The assistant, a well-meaning but somewhat awkward young man, managed to get more smoke in his own face than near the bees, emerging from the apiary looking like a sooty chimney sweep who'd had a particularly rough day. The bees, he chuckles, remained largely unperturbed, seemingly more amused by the human's antics than concerned by the smoke. Some lessons, he sighs, are learned through a haze of confusion. You ask about the challenges of managing swarms. He explains that capturing a swarm required a delicate balance of speed and gentleness. A sudden movement or a loud noise could easily scatter the bees. He describes how he would often hold an empty skep or hive beneath the hanging swarm, gently brushing the bees into it with a soft feather or a gloved hand. It's a testament to the patient, almost meditative quality of beekeeping, a dance of subtle movements and quiet anticipation. He shares a curious tidbit. In some parts of rural France, it was believed that if you whispered your secrets to the bees, they would carry your worries away, or even help your wishes come true. This charming superstition highlights the profound connection and trust that beekeepers often felt towards their bees, viewing them not just as producers of honey, but as confidants or even spiritual guides. You imagine hushed confessions by the hives, tiny winged therapists carrying burdens into the ether. It's a lovely thought, isn't it? Perhaps it's a form of early therapy, a way to release one's unspoken anxieties. As the beekeeper speaks, his hands instinctively mimic the motions of handling hives, a testament to years of dedicated practice. He describes the satisfaction of a successful honey harvest, the rich, golden liquid dripping from the comb, a tangible reward for months of patient care. It's a moment of deep connection to the natural world, a realization of the incredible bounty that these tiny creatures provide. He emphasizes that beekeeping is a continuous conversation with nature, a dialogue of observation and response, where both parties learn from each other. You realize that this surprising calm in the world of 18th century French beekeeping was not a result of a lack of challenges, but rather a testament to the resilience of both the beekeepers and their bees. It was a world built on profound patience, meticulous observation, and a deep, intuitive understanding of the natural world. It's a world that invites you to slow down, to listen to the quiet whispers of nature, and to appreciate the intricate beauty that unfolds in the simplest of tasks. And as your thoughts continue to soften and dissolve, you feel yourself drifting further into the tranquil depths of this historical journey, a journey scented with honey and lulled by the gentle hum of unseen wings. The air in the cottage is now perfectly still, save for the faint crackle of the dying fire. Your eyes are heavy, and your thoughts are becoming increasingly diffused, melting into the comforting narrative. The beekeeper's voice is a gentle current, carrying you deeper into the quietude of 18th century French apiaries. He begins to talk about the different seasons of honey, each with its own unique character. Spring honey, often light in color and delicate in flavor, reflected the early blossoms like fruit trees and dandelions. Summer honey, the bulk of the year's yield, was richer and more robust, a reflection of the abundant wildflowers, clover, and lavender. This seasonal variation meant that the flavor profile of honey could be a true reflection of the landscape and the time of year it was harvested. You can almost taste the subtle differences, a true culinary journey through the French countryside. He speaks of the importance of honey for trade and commerce. While much of the honey was consumed locally, surplus production would be sold at regional markets, bringing in much-needed income for rural families. Beeswax, too, was a valuable commodity, traded for other goods or sold to candle makers and artisans. This economic aspect of beekeeping highlights its significance beyond mere sustenance. It was a quiet engine of the rural economy, connecting remote villages to larger trade networks. Historians still debate the specific trade routes for honey and beeswax. Were there dedicated merchants, or was it primarily a local exchange? It's a market mystery, sticky with intrigue. You learn that honey was also a crucial ingredient in traditional French cuisine. Before the widespread use of refined sugar, honey was the primary sweetener for desserts, pastries, and even some savory dishes. It was used to preserve fruits, make syrups, and sweeten beverages. The rich and complex flavors of natural honey added a depth to dishes that refined sugar simply couldn't replicate. You imagine rich, honey-laced cakes and delicate fruit tarts, a taste of authentic 18th century French sweetness. He recounts a rather chaotic incident at a local market when a runaway cart accidentally overturned a stall selling honey. The resulting sticky mess, he explains, was both comical and disheartening. Villagers, initially dismayed, quickly rallied, helping to salvage what they could and even offering sweet samples to soothe the upset vendor. It was a sticky disaster turned into a sweet act of community, a testament to the resilience and good humor of rural life. Sometimes, he muses with a soft chuckle, even chaos can have a sweet outcome. You ask about the care of the queen bee. He explains that the queen is the most vital member of the colony, responsible for all egg laying. A healthy queen ensures a strong and productive hive. Beekeepers would carefully monitor the queen's activity, sometimes even marking her with a tiny dab of paint on her back to make her easier to spot amongst the thousands of workers. This careful attention to the queen highlights the beekeeper's understanding of her central role in the hive's success. It's like trying to find the monarch in a crowd of thousands, a tiny, winged needle in a buzzing haystack. He shares a curious tidbit. In some parts of France, it was believed that if a bee stung you, it meant you were about to receive good news. While certainly a painful way to receive a message, it shows a remarkable optimism and a willingness to find positive omens in everyday occurrences. You imagine someone enduring a sting with a hopeful smile, wondering what good fortune might be coming their way. Perhaps it's a testament to the human ability to find the silver lining, even in the most uncomfortable of situations. As the beekeeper's words continue to wash over you, you feel yourself drifting further into a state of profound calm. He speaks of the enduring lessons learned from bees, the power of cooperation, the importance of hard work, and the delicate balance of nature. He describes how the constant activity of the hive, though seemingly frantic, is in fact a testament to perfect order and purpose. It's a quiet wisdom, easily overlooked in a world of noise and distraction, but deeply resonant here in the heart of the apiary. You realize that the surprisingly calm world of 18th century French beekeeping was not just a historical snapshot. It was a timeless microcosm of a harmonious existence. It's a world where patience is rewarded, observation is key, and the sweet rewards of diligent effort are always abundant. And as your senses begin to blur, and your thoughts become increasingly soft and indistinct, you are enveloped by the gentle hum of 1,000 tiny wings, carrying you further into the quiet depths of a truly peaceful night. The faint scent of honey, now almost imperceptible, lingers, a sweet promise of tranquil dreams. The last embers in the hearth have now faded to a soft, barely visible glow, leaving the cottage bathed in a profound darkness, broken only by the gentle moonbeams filtering through the window panes. Your perception of time has become fluid, stretching and dissolving as the beekeeper's voice continues its soothing cadence, guiding you deeper into slumber. He begins to talk about the historical documents that shed light on 18th century beekeeping. He mentions old agricultural treatises, household inventories, and even legal records that detail the practices, economic value, and social significance of bees. These documents, he explains, offer glimpses into the daily lives of beekeepers, the challenges they faced, and the innovations they adopted, providing a rich tapestry of information for historians. You imagine dusty scrolls and fading ink, revealing the quiet stories of forgotten apiaries. He speaks of the importance of local knowledge and traditional methods. While some scholarly texts on beekeeping existed, much of the practical wisdom was passed down orally, from father to son, or from experienced beekeeper to apprentice. This empirical knowledge, honed over generations, was often remarkably accurate and efficient, even without a formal scientific understanding of bee biology. It's a testament to the power of direct observation and hands-on experience, a living legacy that transcends written records. You learn about the rituals and superstitions associated with beekeeping. Beyond telling the bees about deaths or good news, some communities believed in leaving small offerings near the hives to appease the bees or ensure a bountiful harvest. These practices, while perhaps not scientifically effective, highlight the deep respect and almost mystical connection people felt with their bees, seeing them as more than just insects. Historians still debate the extent to which these rituals were genuinely believed versus being performed out of tradition or a desire to ensure good fortune. Was it sincere faith or merely cultural custom? It's a fascinating blend of belief and practice. He recounts a funny tale of a particularly stubborn bee who, after being brushed off a frame, refused to be deterred and kept trying to return to the same spot, over and over again. The beekeeper describes it as a tiny, winged battle of wills, with the bee displaying an impressive, if slightly irritating, persistence. Eventually, he says with a chuckle, he simply gave up and let the bee have its way, deciding it was more trouble than it was worth to argue with such a determined creature. Sometimes, he muses, you just have to let a bee be a bee. You ask about the social structures within the broader beekeeping community. He explains that beekeepers often formed informal networks, sharing knowledge, trading surplus honey, and assisting each other during difficult times, such as disease outbreaks or large swarms. This communal spirit fostered a sense of solidarity and mutual support, reflecting the close-knit nature of rural communities in 18th century France. It's a picture of cooperation, a shared passion for the well-being of their buzzing charges. He shares a peculiar tidbit. In some areas, it was considered bad luck to quarrel near the beehives, as it was believed to upset the bees and lead to a poor honey harvest. This superstition encouraged a peaceful and harmonious atmosphere in the apiary, perhaps contributing to the overall calm you've experienced. You imagine hushed arguments abruptly ceasing as someone remembers the watchful, sensitive ears of the bees. It's a rather clever way to promote peace and quiet, wouldn't you agree? As the beekeeper's voice continues its gentle, hypnotic rhythm, you feel yourself drifting further and further into a state of deep relaxation. He speaks of the profound beauty of the honeycomb, a perfect geometric marvel, constructed with such precision and efficiency by tiny, instinctive engineers. He describes the golden glow of fresh honey, the sweet, intoxicating scent that fills the air during harvest, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing that you have played a part in nature's miraculous bounty. It's a world of simple pleasures but profound rewards. You realize that this journey into the calm world of 18th century French beekeeping has offered a rare glimpse into a way of life deeply rooted in nature, sustained by patience, and enriched by the enduring wisdom of generations. It's a world where the greatest lessons are found in the intricate dance of a bee, a world that invites you to slow down, to observe, and to find beauty in the most unexpected places. And as your thoughts soften and your eyelids grow impossibly heavy, you are enveloped by the gentle hum of 1,000 unseen wings, carrying you effortlessly into the quiet depths of a truly restful and honey-sweet sleep. The darkness in the cottage is now complete, a comforting velvet cloak that wraps around you, making the beekeeper's voice the sole anchor in your drifting consciousness. He speaks of the challenges that 18th century beekeepers faced, forces of nature that even their accumulated wisdom couldn't entirely control. He mentions harsh winters that could decimate colonies if proper preparations weren't made, or prolonged droughts that withered the flowers and left bees struggling for forage. These environmental factors were a constant source of anxiety, highlighting the fragile dependence of beekeeping on the whims of nature. It's a reminder that even in a calm world, there are always elements beyond human control, a delicate balance that must be respected. He talks about the various diseases and pests that plagued bees. While modern science has identified many specific pathogens, 18th century beekeepers simply observed the symptoms: weak colonies, dying larvae, or unusual behavior. They relied on traditional remedies, sometimes effective, sometimes not, and often resorted to drastic measures like destroying infected hives to protect healthy ones. This constant struggle against unseen enemies was a testament to their resilience and dedication, a tireless battle to preserve their precious charges. Historians still debate the specific types of diseases prevalent in different regions and their long-term impact on bee populations. Was there a particularly virulent strain that caused widespread devastation, or were outbreaks more localized? It's a microscopic mystery. You learn about the efforts to improve beekeeping practices through observation and experimentation. While not always formalized science, many beekeepers meticulously recorded their observations, noting which hive designs worked best, which plants provided the most abundant nectar, and how different management techniques impacted honey production. This empirical approach, combined with shared knowledge, led to a gradual, incremental progress in the craft. It's a testament to the human desire to understand and optimize, even in the absence of modern scientific methods. He recounts a particularly frustrating season when a mischievous badger repeatedly raided one of his hives, despite his best efforts to deter it. He describes trying everything from laying thorny branches around the hive to building a makeshift, rickety fence, all to no avail. The badger, it seemed, was particularly fond of honey and remarkably cunning. Eventually, he says with a sigh, he had to resort to setting a humane trap and relocating the persistent creature to a distant forest. Some appetites, he muses, are simply too determined to ignore. You ask about the tools used for harvesting honey. He explains that for skep hives, the entire comb would often be crushed to extract the honey, a destructive but effective method. For those with more advanced wooden hives, they might use a simple wooden press or gently scrape the honey from the comb. The beeswax would then be separated, usually by melting and straining, to be used for candles or other purposes. It was a labor-intensive process, but the sweet reward made it all worthwhile. He shares a peculiar tidbit. In some areas, it was believed that if you painted your beehives a particular color, it would attract more bees or make them more productive. While there's no scientific basis for this, it highlights the intuitive connection beekeepers felt with their bees, believing that even small gestures could influence their well-being. You imagine a kaleidoscope of vibrant beehives, each a tiny, colorful dwelling, reflecting the hopes and superstitions of its human caretaker. It's a charming thought, isn't it? A bit of artistic expression mixed with a dollop of hopeful magic. As the beekeeper's voice continues its gentle, hypnotic flow, you feel yourself becoming increasingly detached from your waking thoughts, your mind slowly dissolving into the tranquil imagery. He speaks of the profound respect that he and his family held for their bees, seeing them not just as a source of income, but as integral members of their natural world. He emphasizes the interconnectedness of all living things, a philosophy deeply ingrained in their lives. It's a quiet testament to a simpler time, when the rhythms of nature dictated the pace of life, and wisdom was often found in the most unexpected places. You realize that the surprisingly calm world of 18th century French beekeeping was a testament to human resilience, adaptability, and a deep appreciation for the delicate balance of the natural world. It was a world of quiet struggles and profound triumphs, all played out against the backdrop of the industrious hum of the hive. And as your thoughts grow soft and indistinct, and your eyelids feel heavier than lead, you are carried further into the peaceful depths of slumber, gently enveloped by the sweet scent of honey and the soothing drone of 1,000 tiny wings. A truly peaceful and restorative sleep awaits you. The silence in the cottage is now absolute, broken only by the whisper of your own breath and the persistent, gentle cadence of the beekeeper's voice, a soothing thread that continues to guide you deeper into a state of profound rest. He begins to talk about the significance of honey in various social and cultural contexts of 18th century France. Honey, he explains, was not just a foodstuff. It held symbolic meaning in celebrations, religious ceremonies, and folk traditions. It was a symbol of sweetness, abundance, and purity, often exchanged as gifts or used in blessings. You imagine honey appearing at weddings, christenings, and harvest festivals, a tangible representation of good fortune and well-being. He speaks of the role of beekeeping in education. Children in rural areas often learned about bees from a young age, observing their parents and grandparents at work in the apiary. This hands-on education instilled a deep respect for nature, an understanding of ecological principles, and a practical knowledge of a vital craft. It was a natural classroom, where lessons were learned not from books, but from direct observation and participation in the rhythms of the natural world. It's a charming thought, isn't it? Learning about life from the tiny, buzzing masters of organization. You learn about the early scientific treatises on beekeeping. While much knowledge was anecdotal, some naturalists and agriculturalists began to publish more systematic observations and recommendations for beekeeping. These early scientific inquiries, though sometimes flawed by modern standards, marked the beginning of a more rigorous approach to understanding bee biology and management. Historians still debate the extent to which these published works influenced practical beekeeping in rural areas. Were they read by ordinary beekeepers, or did they remain largely within academic circles? It's a scholarly question, buzzing with possibilities. He recounts a rather endearing story about a particularly curious young bee who, instead of foraging for nectar, seemed more interested in exploring the beekeeper's tools, constantly landing on his fingers, inspecting his smoker, and even attempting to crawl into his pockets. The beekeeper describes it with a soft chuckle, as if recalling a mischievous child. He says he eventually named the bee Curiosity and allowed it its harmless explorations, admiring its adventurous spirit. Even in a world of rules, he muses, there's always room for a little bit of playful defiance. You ask about the relationship between beekeeping and gardening. He explains that many beekeepers also maintained extensive gardens, planting a variety of flowers, herbs, and fruit trees specifically to provide forage for their bees. This symbiotic relationship meant that the garden thrived with the bees' pollination, and the bees thrived on the garden's bounty. It was a beautiful example of integrated agriculture, where every element supported every other. It's a picture of perfect harmony, a testament to the wisdom of working with nature, not against it. He shares a peculiar tidbit. In some regions, it was believed that if you tied a red ribbon around your beehives, it would protect them from evil spirits or bad luck. This colorful superstition, though whimsical, highlights the deep desire to protect these valuable creatures and ensure their prosperity. You imagine a row of hives, each adorned with a vibrant red ribbon, a tiny charm against unseen threats, adding a touch of folk magic to the practical world of beekeeping. As the beekeeper's words continue to gently envelop you, you feel an increasing sense of warmth and security, as if you are being cradled by the very rhythm of nature itself. He speaks of the quiet satisfaction that comes from contributing to the well-being of something so vital and so wondrous as a bee colony. He emphasizes that beekeeping is a journey of continuous learning, a constant process of adapting to the subtle shifts in nature, and a profound connection to the cycles of life and growth. It's a peaceful existence, deeply rooted in the earth and profoundly satisfying. You realize that this surprising calm in the world of 18th century French beekeeping was not a result of a lack of effort or challenge, but rather a testament to the profound patience, meticulous observation, and deep respect that people held for the natural world. It was a world where quiet industry led to sweet rewards, and where the greatest wisdom was often found in the smallest, most industrious creatures. And as your thoughts become increasingly soft and indistinct, and your eyelids feel impossibly heavy, you are carried further into the peaceful depths of slumber, gently enveloped by the sweet scent of honey and the soothing drone of 1,000 tiny wings. A truly serene and restorative sleep awaits you. The air in the cottage is now thick with quiet, a profound stillness that allows your mind to completely surrender to the soothing drone of the beekeeper's voice. He begins to talk about the sensory experience of the apiary, beyond just the sight and sound. He speaks of the distinct aroma of a healthy hive, a sweet, earthy scent of honey, beeswax, and propolis, mingling with the fresh, floral notes carried in on the bees' wings. This unique scent, he explains, was a subtle indicator of the hive's health and productivity, a secret language spoken through fragrance. You can almost smell it, a rich, complex perfume that defines the very essence of the apiary. He speaks of the tactile experience of handling comb, the delicate, almost papery feel of fresh, new wax, contrasting with the heavier, laden weight of a comb filled with honey. He describes the sticky sensation of propolis on the fingers, a natural glue that bees use to seal cracks and protect their hive. These small, sensory details bring the world of 18th century beekeeping vividly to life, painting a picture beyond mere historical facts. It's a reminder that truly understanding a craft often means experiencing it with all your senses. You learn about the importance of beeswax as a valuable commodity. Beyond candles, beeswax was used in a myriad of applications: for polishing wooden furniture, for waterproofing leather, for making sealing wax for important documents, and even as a base for ointments and cosmetics. The demand for beeswax meant that beekeepers often had a consistent income stream even if honey yields varied, making it a crucial part of their livelihood. Historians still debate the specific methods of beeswax refining in different regions and the level of purity expected for various applications. Was there a standard for quality, or did it vary widely? It's a waxy mystery. He recounts a rather sticky situation when a curious dog, attracted by the sweet scent, managed to get his nose into a discarded piece of honeycomb. The resulting sticky snout, coated in honey and bits of wax, was both comical and endearing. The dog, he explains with a soft chuckle, spent the next hour trying to lick himself clean, looking rather sheepish about his sweet transgression. Some lessons, he muses, are learned one sticky lick at a time. You ask about the relationship between beekeeping and the wider natural environment. He explains that beekeepers were keenly aware of the impact of the seasons, the weather, and the surrounding flora on their bees. They understood that a healthy environment meant healthy bees, and vice versa. This intuitive ecological awareness, though not codified in modern scientific terms, guided their practices and fostered a deep respect for the land. It's a testament to the wisdom of living in harmony with nature, long before environmentalism became a movement. He shares a peculiar tidbit. In some regions, it was believed that if a beekeeper sang to their bees, it would make them happier and more productive. While the scientific basis for this is dubious, it highlights the deeply personal connection beekeepers often felt with their colonies, treating them almost as sentient beings capable of appreciating a good tune. You imagine a beekeeper humming a gentle melody as he works amongst his hives, a quiet serenade to his buzzing charges. It's a charming image, isn't it? A lullaby for the bees, ensuring sweet dreams and even sweeter honey. As the beekeeper's voice continues its gentle, hypnotic flow, you feel yourself drifting further into the depths of a profound and tranquil sleep. He speaks of the quiet rhythm of life in the apiary, a timeless dance of diligence, cooperation, and the enduring power of nature. He emphasizes that beekeeping is not merely a trade, but a way of life, a philosophy that teaches patience, resilience, and the profound satisfaction that comes from working in harmony with the natural world. It's a testament to the quiet beauty that exists when humans truly connect with the earth and its creatures. You realize that this surprising calm in the world of 18th century French beekeeping was a reflection of a deeper peace, a connection to something ancient and enduring. It's a world where the greatest wisdom is found in the quiet hum of a healthy hive, and the most profound lessons are taught by the tireless industry of tiny wings. And as your thoughts become increasingly soft and indistinct, and your eyelids feel impossibly heavy, you are carried effortlessly into the quiet depths of slumber, gently enveloped by the sweet scent of honey and the soothing drone of 1,000 tiny wings. A truly serene and restorative sleep awaits you, a sleep as sweet and peaceful as the honey from a long-lost French apiary. The very air in the cottage now seems to hum with a gentle, unseen energy, as if the spirit of the apiary itself has settled around you, guiding you deeper into a peaceful oblivion. The beekeeper's voice, a soft, consistent murmur, continues to paint vivid, soothing pictures in your mind. He begins to describe the process of extracting the honey in more detail, a crucial step in the beekeeper's year. For the traditional skeps, he explains, the entire comb would often be removed and crushed. The honey, thick and golden, would then be allowed to drip through coarse linen cloths, separating it from the wax and any impurities. It was a slow, deliberate process, ensuring the purity of the final product. You imagine the rich, sweet aroma filling the air during these harvest days, a scent of pure bounty. He speaks of the importance of leaving enough honey for the bees to survive the winter. A responsible beekeeper, he emphasizes, never takes all the honey, understanding that the bees' survival is paramount for the next season's production. This careful management of resources highlights a sustainable approach to agriculture, a deep understanding of the delicate balance between taking and nurturing. It's a testament to their long-term vision, ensuring the well-being of their colonies for generations to come. You learn about the various ways honey was stored and preserved. It was typically kept in earthenware pots, sealed with beeswax lids, or stored in large barrels in cool, dark cellars. This ensured that the honey remained fresh and pure, ready for consumption throughout the year. The longevity of honey as a food source made it particularly valuable, especially in times when other forms of preservation were more rudimentary. Historians still debate the specific types of storage vessels used in different regions and how effectively they prevented spoilage. Was there a preferred material or method, or did it vary by local custom? It's a culinary conundrum, deliciously so. He recounts a humorous mishap during a honey extraction when a particularly enthusiastic, but inexperienced, helper accidentally knocked over a pot of freshly strained honey. The resulting sticky cascade, he explains with a soft chuckle, coated everything in its path, including the helper's already honey-soaked smock. It took hours to clean up the mess, but the helper, despite the sticky inconvenience, eventually learned the importance of slow and steady movements. Some lessons, he muses, are best learned while trying not to slip. You ask about the different uses of honey beyond food. He explains that it was also used in fermenting mead, a popular alcoholic beverage, and even in some forms of traditional beer. Its preservative qualities made it useful in certain medicinal preparations, and its rich texture made it a base for various salves and balms. The versatility of honey made it an incredibly valuable resource, a true gift from the bees that permeated many aspects of daily life. He shares a peculiar tidbit. In some parts of France, it was believed that if you spoke sweetly to your honey during the extraction process, it would taste even better. While there's no scientific evidence to support this, it highlights the personal connection beekeepers had with their product, infusing it with their care and positive intentions. You imagine a beekeeper whispering words of encouragement to the flowing honey, imbuing it with good energy. It's a charming thought, isn't it? A little bit of magic in every spoonful. As the beekeeper's voice continues to gently wash over you, you feel yourself drifting deeper and deeper into a state of profound peace and tranquility. He speaks of the enduring cycle of nature, the relentless work of the bees, and the quiet satisfaction of participating in something so ancient and vital. He emphasizes that beekeeping is a constant dance of adaptation, a continuous learning process where every season brings new challenges and new rewards. It's a peaceful, fulfilling existence, deeply rooted in the rhythms of the earth. You realize that this surprising calm in the world of 18th century French beekeeping was a testament to the wisdom of living in harmony with nature, of understanding its subtle cues, and of respecting the intricate balance of the ecosystem. It was a world where quiet diligence led to sweet abundance, and where the greatest lessons were often found in the most unassuming of creatures. And as your thoughts become increasingly soft and indistinct, and your eyelids feel impossibly heavy, you are carried effortlessly into the quiet depths of slumber, gently enveloped by the sweet scent of honey and the soothing drone of 1,000 tiny wings. A truly peaceful and restorative sleep awaits you. The darkness around you is complete and utterly soothing, a perfect canvas for the beekeeper's soft, murmuring voice, which has now become an almost subconscious lullaby. He begins to describe the broader ecological role of bees, a concept that, while not fully articulated in 18th century scientific terms, was intuitively understood by beekeepers. He emphasizes that bees were not just providers of honey, they were essential pollinators, vital for the reproduction of countless fruit trees, vegetable crops, and wildflowers. Without bees, he explains, the bounty of the countryside would be significantly diminished, a stark reminder of their indispensable contribution to the natural world. You realize that long before modern environmental awareness, these quiet stewards of the hive understood the delicate interdependence of all living things. He speaks of the importance of maintaining healthy bee populations for the overall health of the ecosystem. A decline in bee numbers would not only impact honey production, but would also lead to reduced crop yields and a less diverse floral landscape. This understanding fostered a sense of responsibility among beekeepers, a quiet commitment to nurturing their colonies for the benefit of the wider environment. It's a testament to their foresight and their deep connection to the land. Historians still debate the extent of awareness about the specific role of bees in pollination versus a general understanding that more bees meant more crops. Was it a scientific insight or simply empirical observation? It's a buzzing academic question. You learn about the various folk remedies and superstitions surrounding bees that persisted in 18th century French culture. Beyond the practical uses of honey and propolis, bees were often associated with healing, fertility, and prosperity. Some believed that bee stings could cure certain ailments, while others used honey in charms and potions for love or good fortune. These beliefs, while rooted in tradition rather than science, highlight the powerful symbolic significance of bees in the popular imagination. You imagine ancient rituals and whispered incantations, all centered around the tiny, mystical insect. He recounts a particularly amusing tale of a young boy who, convinced that bees held the secret to eternal youth, attempted to drink directly from a hive. The resulting flurry of angry bees, he explains with a soft chuckle, sent the boy running, screaming, and quickly disabused him of his magical notions. The beekeeper adds that the boy, despite his initial misadventure, grew up to be a respectful and successful beekeeper himself, a testament to learning from one's painful mistakes. Some lessons, he muses, are delivered with a sting. You ask about the concept of bee gardens. He explains that larger estates or more affluent beekeepers would sometimes dedicate specific areas of their gardens to cultivating plants particularly attractive to bees, such as lavender, rosemary, or various fruit trees. These bee gardens not only provided abundant forage, but also created beautiful, fragrant spaces that hummed with life. It was a deliberate effort to create an optimal environment for their bees, showcasing a blend of practicality and aesthetic appreciation. He shares a peculiar tidbit. In some regions, it was believed that if you wore a sprig of basil when working with bees, it would calm them and prevent stings. While probably more psychological than scientifically effective, it reveals a charming attempt to establish harmony with the bees through traditional wisdom. You imagine a beekeeper, a sprig of fragrant basil tucked behind his ear, performing his duties with a calm assurance, believing in the protective power of the herb. It's a sweet thought, isn't it? A subtle blend of nature's bounty and human belief. As the beekeeper's voice continues its gentle, hypnotic cadence, You feel yourself sinking deeper and deeper into a state of profound peace and relaxation. He speaks of the profound beauty of the hive, a living, breathing superorganism, a testament to the incredible power of cooperation and collective intelligence. He emphasizes that beekeeping is a continuous journey of discovery, a constant marvel at the intricate workings of nature, and a profound appreciation for the tireless work of these tiny, miraculous creatures. It's a peaceful, fulfilling existence, deeply connected to the pulse of the earth. You realize that this surprising calm in the world of 18th century French beekeeping was a reflection of a deeper understanding, a quiet wisdom that recognized the intrinsic value of every living thing. It was a world where human industry harmonized with natural rhythms, and where the greatest lessons were found in the smallest, most industrious corners of creation. And as your thoughts become increasingly soft and indistinct, and your eyelids feel impossibly heavy, you are carried effortlessly into the quiet depths of slumber, gently enveloped by the sweet scent of honey and the soothing drone of 1,000 tiny wings. A truly serene and restorative sleep awaits you, a sleep as sweet and pure as the purest honey. The air in the cottage is now imbued with a dreamlike quality, the beekeeper's voice a seamless part of your drifting consciousness, guiding you towards the deepest tranquility. He begins to talk about the historical development of beekeeping literature in France, a quiet but significant evolution in the understanding of apiculture. He mentions pioneering works by authors who, sometimes drawing on ancient Greek and Roman texts, began to systematize knowledge about bees, their biology, and best practices for hive management. These early books, often richly illustrated, were instrumental in spreading innovative ideas and elevating beekeeping from a folk craft to a more respected agricultural science. You imagine careful etchings of beehives and meticulous diagrams of bee anatomy, bringing the unseen world of the hive to life for curious minds. He speaks of the shift from destructive methods of honey harvesting, like crushing entire combs, to more sustainable practices. While not fully adopted by everyone, the idea of removable frames, allowing honey to be extracted without destroying the comb, slowly gained traction. This innovation, though seemingly simple, represented a significant leap forward in beekeeping, promoting healthier colonies and more efficient production. It was a quiet revolution within the apiary, gradually changing the landscape of honey production. Historians still debate the specific social and economic factors that influenced the adoption rate of these new technologies. Was it primarily driven by economic efficiency or by a growing scientific understanding of bee welfare? It's a methodical mystery. You learn about the varied uses of beeswax in art and craft during the 18th century. Beyond candles, beeswax was used by sculptors for modeling, by artists as a binder for pigments in encaustic painting, and by artisans for polishing wood and metal. Its malleability and preservative qualities made it an incredibly versatile material, connecting the world of beekeeping to the broader cultural and artistic endeavors of the time. This highlights the multifaceted contribution of bees to society, extending far beyond the dinner table. You imagine delicate beeswax sculptures, glowing with a soft, warm light, a testament to the hidden talents of the hive. He recounts a charming anecdote about a rather impatient beekeeper who, eager to extract honey, tried to speed up the process by simply shaking the bees from the comb with undue force. The resulting cloud of disoriented and very annoyed bees, he explains with a soft chuckle, taught the beekeeper a valuable lesson about the importance of gentleness and respect. He recalls the beekeeper later saying, "You cannot rush nature, nor can you rush a bee without consequence." It's a reminder that even the most experienced practitioners sometimes need a gentle, if buzzing, nudge to remember patience. You ask about the communal aspect of beekeeping, particularly in times of shared hardship. He explains that in times of scarcity, perhaps due to a poor harvest or a widespread disease, beekeepers would often share their honey and expertise, supporting each other to ensure the survival of their colonies. This spirit of cooperation was essential in rural communities, where mutual aid was a cornerstone of survival. It's a beautiful image of solidarity, a quiet testament to the enduring power of community in the face of adversity. He shares a peculiar tidbit. In some regions, it was believed that if a bee followed you home, it was a sign that you would soon receive unexpected good news or a surprise visitor. This charming superstition, though whimsical, reflects the widespread belief in bees as messengers and harbingers of fortune. You imagine someone walking home, a tiny buzzing companion in tow, eagerly anticipating what delightful surprise might await them. It's a rather sweet way to look at a persistent insect, isn't it? As the beekeeper's voice continues its gentle, hypnotic flow, you feel yourself drifting further and further into a state of profound peace and relaxation. He speaks of the enduring legacy of beekeeping, a craft that has sustained communities for centuries, adapting to new challenges while retaining its fundamental respect for nature. He emphasizes that the quiet industry of the hive holds timeless lessons for humanity, the power of collaboration, the importance of hard work, and the profound beauty of a life lived in harmony with the natural world. It's a peaceful, fulfilling existence, deeply connected to the pulse of the earth. You realize that this surprising calm in the world of 18th century French beekeeping was not just a historical curiosity. It was a profound reflection of a way of life built on patience, observation, and a deep appreciation for the delicate balance of the natural world. It was a world where quiet diligence led to sweet abundance, and where the greatest wisdom was often found in the smallest, most industrious creatures. And as your thoughts become increasingly soft and indistinct, and your eyelids feel impossibly heavy, you are carried effortlessly into the quiet depths of slumber, gently enveloped by the sweet scent of honey and the soothing drone of 1,000 tiny wings. A truly serene and restorative sleep awaits you. The very last vestiges of your conscious thought are now dissolving, blending seamlessly with the serene narrative woven by the beekeeper. His voice is a whisper in the gentle darkness, guiding you towards the deepest, most peaceful slumber. He begins to speak of the lasting legacy of 18th century French beekeeping, a quiet tradition that continues to echo in modern practices. The foundational understanding of bee behavior, the respect for their intrinsic value, and the appreciation for their ecological role all found their roots in this era. Even with all the advancements, he explains, the core principles of patience, observation, and partnership with nature remain unchanged. You realize that this ancient craft continues to thrive, a testament to its enduring wisdom. He speaks of the subtle ways beekeeping shaped the culture and language of the time. Phrases like busy as a bee or honeyed words likely found deeper resonance in a society so closely connected to these industrious creatures. The bee, he emphasizes, was not just an insect. It was a symbol, a teacher, and a provider, deeply woven into the fabric of daily life and popular imagination. It's a reminder of how deeply our natural world influences our expressions and our understanding of ourselves. You learn about the cyclical nature of beekeeping, a constant dance with the seasons, the weather, and the ever-changing needs of the bees. There is no true end to the beekeeper's work, only a transition from one season's tasks to the next. This continuous rhythm, he explains, fosters a sense of timelessness, a profound connection to the ancient cycles of life and growth. It's a life lived in harmony with the Earth's breath, a truly sustainable existence. Historians still debate the extent to which beekeeping knowledge was shared across different social strata in France. Was it primarily a peasant's craft, or did the aristocracy also actively participate and contribute to its development? It's a social buzzing question. He recounts one final tender memory, the soft, almost imperceptible purr of a healthy hive on a warm summer evening, a sound so subtle it can only be felt, not heard. It's the sound of contented industry, of life thriving, a deep, resonant vibration that speaks of perfect harmony. He describes it as the most beautiful music a beekeeper can ever hear, a quiet symphony of nature's abundance. You can almost feel that gentle vibration, a soothing resonance that settles deep within your chest. You ask about the profound personal impact of a life spent with bees. He explains that it teaches humility, for despite all efforts, nature always has the final say. It teaches patience, for good things come to those who wait and who respect the natural pace of the world. And it teaches wonder, for the intricate complexity of the hive, the tireless dedication of the bees, and the miraculous transformation of nectar into honey are constant sources of awe. These are not just lessons for beekeepers, he muses, but for all who seek a life of quiet fulfillment. He shares a peculiar tidbit. In some regions, it was believed that if you offered a small portion of your first honey harvest to a local stream or river, it would ensure abundant rainfall and healthy crops for the coming year. This charming ritual, though a superstition, highlights the profound gratitude beekeepers felt for nature's bounty and their desire to reciprocate its generosity. You imagine a silent offering, a golden liquid mingling with the cool water, a quiet prayer for continued abundance. It's a lovely way to express thanks, isn't it? A truly sweet offering to the world. As the beekeeper's voice finally begins to fade, becoming little more than a gentle whisper in the vast quietness of your mind, you feel an overwhelming sense of calm washing over you. He has guided you through a world of surprising tranquility, a corner of history often overlooked, yet filled with profound wisdom and gentle beauty. The quiet hum of the apiary, the sweet scent of honey, the patient rhythm of nature, all of it has settled deep within you, a comforting presence that gently urges you into the deepest, most peaceful slumber. You realize that the surprisingly calm world of 18th century French beekeeping was a microcosm of a truly harmonious existence, a world where human and nature coexisted in a delicate, mutually beneficial dance. It was a world that, despite its challenges, radiated a profound sense of peace, a testament to the enduring power of quiet industry and a deep respect for the intricate wonders of creation. And now, as your mind drifts into a sweet, honey-scented oblivion, you carry with you the profound sense of peace and the gentle hum of 1,000 tiny wings, guiding you into a truly restorative and deeply satisfying sleep. Sleep well, gentle traveler. The last whisper of the beekeeper's story now fades, leaving behind only a profound, gentle quietness. Feel the calm settle around you like a soft, warm blanket. Your mind, once bustling with thoughts, is now still, a vast, open space where only peace resides. Imagine yourself drifting on a tranquil river, the water smooth and dark, reflecting the faint, twinkling stars above. There's no rush, no current to pull you, just a slow, effortless glide. Let any lingering worries simply melt away, like morning mist touched by the sun. They are not yours to carry into this peaceful night. Your body feels heavy and relaxed, sinking deeper into the softness of your bed, a comfortable cloud that holds you securely. Breathe slowly, deeply, feeling the gentle rise and fall of your chest, a natural rhythm that perfectly matches the quiet pulse of the night. Think of the apiary you visited in your mind tonight. The soft hum of the bees, now a distant, soothing memory like a gentle lullaby. The sweet scent of honey, light and comforting, drifting through your dreams. These tiny creatures, so industrious, now rest just as you are resting. Everything is peaceful, everything is still. There is nothing left to do, nowhere left to be except here in this moment of perfect calm. Let your thoughts become soft clouds, drifting lazily across a wide, empty sky until they too simply disappear. You are safe, you are warm, and you are deeply, wonderfully tired. Drifting into a deep, sweet sleep.